Welcome, everybody. It's a great pleasure to be all together with you today here after 2 years. It's fantastic. I will have to spend just a few introductory words, and I'll try to be very short. What I want to say basically is that um, after the program we did together, I'm still very proud of what we did because of the book. Now, today we are not going to talk about the book as we did in the other event that we had in Montreal at the end of April. Mostly we're going to enjoy the book uh, by listening to your fantastic readings, really dive into what your creativity, what you wrote um, during the program and after the program. I don't know what's your sensation about this, but I think we did something that we really, it was really a life-changing experience. And even after 2 years, I feel a deep sense of affection toward this enterprise and toward the entire group. With many of you, we stayed in touch, but even if the few of you we lost contacts in those 2 years, there was still a bond that was underlined by the writing. Of course, we had last year especially, but this year still, a terrible nightmare, a terrible experience. And we are still now waiting to see what's going to happen. We're waiting for the good time I don't know if I should say the end of the pandemic. I don't want to go into that, but we are waiting to see when we're going to be finally able to restart our program. I don't know if this will happen in 2022 yet, but we will see. But it's so good that we published this wonderful book after the program, because without the book, I think that our experience, even thinking backward, would have been different. So I'm so happy to see all of you together, and I really want to relax. Today is a very informal meeting. I want to relax and really actually truly enjoying your readings. So I will start now by calling in the first speaker. We also have two speakers, Carla Francellini and Elisabetta Marino. For those of you who attended the event in Montreal, Elisabetta Marino was one of the speakers there too. But again, I know that they will give us their impressions on the book, and especially on some of the pieces included in the books in a very informal way. There is a special form thought for a marathon, no, and not for an academic, presentation of the book. So I kindly ask Carla to introduce herself. This is more lively, less formal. So Carla, please go ahead. But what is very important before Carla starts, that of course we have time limitations, and so the speakers will speak for 10 minutes each, but all the others, all of you, all the readers will read for 5 minutes. And if you want to also introduce yourself or say something about yourself before reading, it has to be still framed within the 5 minutes. This is what Maria Gilliam wants me to really underline, to really check, and I will be checking the time. Thank you, Carla. Thank you.
You're welcome. And I'm really happy to be here. And I want to thank you, Margarita and Maria, for having invited me tonight to be part of this fantastic reading marathon. I'm very excited. I'm wearing sneakers, so I will be into the 5 minutes. I will be the fastest speaker, okay? So to give a good example, va bene? So
Lovely.
it is really interesting because what you mentioned, Margherita, is really what I thought as I was reading the book. I mean, I wasn't there and I wasn't part of your experience, but it was as if I had been part of your experience once I received the book, and that was an adventure itself, as Margherita knows, because our Italian mail is disquieting, to say at least disquieting. So when it eventually reached my mailbox, I was so excited. And one beautiful thing I will tell you immediately is that I couldn't stop reading it. It was marvelous. And first of all, let me tell you, I had the impression I was traveling, which is wonderful. I had the impression I was coming with you, even if I didn't, through the places you visited. Fortunately, I know some parts, some locations of the ones you visited, but that was really, really exciting. So anyway, it looks like everything taking place around Maria and Margherita is bound to become magic and beautiful and somehow unforgettable. That is my feeling, because I met Margherita after I had met Maria. I mean, I met Maria a long time ago, and then I had the lucky chance to work with Margherita, and that was wonderful. But these two women really made up something unforgettable. That was my feeling, unique in a way. And I would like to thank Mark, who is absent anyway. So tell Linda, tell Mark, I'm very angry. I mean, I was going to be extremely thankful, and he's not here. But anyway, his photographs are really wonderful. And I do believe that his photographs are an essential part of this book. And they are not, I couldn't say, they're not complementary. They are not other texts. They are the text itself in other words, I would say, in images, even more. And they moved me as much as your poems moved me in other, of course, in different ways, you know? So I would say that I had the lucky chance to meet Maria a long time ago, and we spent together some days in 2019 when I met Linda. And those days seem so distant now. So I do believe that these pandemic days, years, months have somehow altered our perception of time. That was my feeling. So reading your book brought me back to, I would say, a warm and comfortable idea of time passing by, which is wonderful. I mean, in a beautiful sense. And in fact, back then, when we spent those days together, any pandemia was just a nightmare in some postmodern novels. And now everything is real. So it was so good to go back to that time when everything was normal, if we can say that. I would say just beautiful. And let me tell you that when I finished reading Celebrating Calabria, when I finished gazing at Mark's outstanding photographs, I started waiting for tonight, because the only thing I was missing was your voices. Because I had your words, I had your images, I saw what you see. I mean, I saw what you had seen, and so I wanted to hear your voices. And this whole initiative seems to me to be the result of a unique combination of exceptional energies, but as I mentioned, I know Maria, I know Margherita, I'm not surprised, in fact, and creativity, longing, nostalgia, beauty, admiration, silence, solitude, and many other things. Even everything, though, moves from Calabria, and I found it really fascinating, from this extraordinary region of our south that has already become a special place on earth for any of us, although for different reasons. I do believe all of us in different ways in these years found a special house, a special home in Calabria. And this is a place where myth and history, diaspora and coming home, deep blue seas and high rocky mountains, suffering and rejoicings are two faces of the same coin. In a way, far too similar to what happens in our lives sometimes, and especially in these dramatic times. So this powerful place exercises its mythical power once again, I believe, eliciting the secret, sometimes even unconscious energy of those who had the chance to be part of this seminar. That was my feeling. And people from different parts of the world gathered to see and taste and touch the very heart of any diaspora experience. So if diaspora means living, it also implies coming back, at least virtually coming back. Diaspora also means finding another place to call home, as Maria wrote in her unforgettable poem. Actually, I framed it in my bedroom, I can tell it. It's on my bed, so I can see anytime I want it. And diaspora also means finding another place to call home. And I really want to believe, and I do believe, that what we're doing tonight is preparing for all of us, but also for those who will be part of this beautiful initiative in the future, a new place to call home. Because Calabria means so much to Italian diaspora, but in general to the notion of diaspora. And this is a place geographically located in Calabria, but in fact, reading your poems, I realized that this is a place deeply rooted in our dreams and in the beauty of art and landscape. And this has to be possible, even in a complicated time and world as the one we are living now. So as I was reading Maria's unpublished poems, and then I was struck by all your poems, and then I read Carbone's poem, The Truth of My Name, and then D'Agostino's Mirrors, and then again De Casa, L'Arte della Gioia, or Montemurro's Praying in Calabria. And actually, unfortunately, I don't have the time to mention them all because otherwise Margherita will start shouting. I suppose I will go much beyond the 10 minutes. I experienced with you all the changing beauty of the light in some places in the national park, Pollino National Park. It was as if I could hear what you were listening to, taste what you tasted, see what Mark's photographs crystallized in the pure beauty of light and color. And then I found A Thing Apart by Linda, another wonderful poem. And I started wondering with Linda, and I quote, does memory become blue like a rope or blue like a broken dish? Or, and I quote again, does it flow into sky like sea into sea? End of quote. I was almost caught in a trap, made by a robe, a sky, several seas, plus some broken dishes. And as I was trying to focus on those powerful images, it occurred suddenly to me that none of us will be the same, especially after having shared this beautiful night, because in Italy it's night. In fact, in Rome, your voices will reach a night sky and in fact, a starry night sky. So let me thank you all of you again for having taken me with you in your wonderful crossing through Calabria, through your memories, through your stories, and for having let us readers easily jump into your lives. So thank you so much for having dreamed, then imagined, then realized, and then brought to life this wonderful project. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Carla. This was a wonderful introduction, and it was also emotional introduction. I'm feeling moved, and
I was moved.
yeah, and you transmitted that to me at least.
Good.
So now we are in a good mood. I'm so excited. We can start with the readings now. And the first one is Maria Cantalbiano. We follow the alphabetical order, but Maria is having trouble. Let me see. Maria. Okay. So Maria Cantalbiano maybe we'll read later, unfortunately, because she's having trouble with that. So Eloise Carbone.
Yeah.
You're going to be the first one, okay?
Thank you, Margherita.
Please.
Thank you, Maria. And thank you everyone for coming, and especially to my brother Martin and his wife Janice. And this is the book that we've been talking about, the Celebrating Calabria. So I am going to read 4 poems in 5 minutes, and they are all on the landscape and villages of Calabria.
Eloise, you're not visible on the screen.
Oh my God. Can everyone see me?
Actually,
I
I
see
see you.
Not
Fine.
Yeah,
Yes, I can see.
I
you.
can see
Hi,
you.
Maria.
Okay, thank you.
I can see you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
So
Let's start.
this is called Like the Calabrese, or Come e Calabrese. And this was written while driving through the Polino Mountains on a bus tour with the group. The Polino Mountains stand rock upon rock, solid like the Calabrese. Their canyon sides shine with streaks, golden like the Calabrese. Their grandeur reflects bare strength, powerful like the Calabrese. Their formations support each other side by side, protective like the Calabrese. The mountains of Polino, with peaks above the clouds, proud like the Calabrese. The second one is called Albedona, and this has been written after a visit to the village of Albedona that emptied from mass migration of its people. Saint Michael Archangel, patron saint of Albedona, conquers the devil as Jesus bleeds on the cross, his bloody scars seeping, oozing, crying with pain. I look up and I cry. The people of Albedona conquer their loneliness with photos hung of their families who left, standing proud against old poverty, now in Brazil, Argentina, Chile. And with what remains, homemade wine, prosciutto, pecorino cheese, olives, and circles of bread deep fried in oil. They dance to the music of goatskin bagpipes. And now I cry again for those who have been left behind. And the third poem, called The Aliano Badlands, was inspired by our visit to the town where Carlo Levi had been exiled. Grasping, my nails fill with wet clay. I reach, I climb, I struggle. Mountainsides crumble, rains weaken my grip, clay covers my hands. I try to hold on, my feet slip, mud. Aliano, a refuge of beauty, no longer in my reach, now left to those who remain. And the final poem is called The Land, and this land was written as I began to sit at the edge of the land that had once been inhabited by my family, close to the family garden. I feel the land knows I am here, the land of my ancestors, the land of vineyards and boar hunting, the land of rocks and stones, the land of labor without end. Settled now in the warmth of the Calabrian sun, on the land of pepperoncini, pasta, cipolle, and red wine, I can feel it. The land knows I have returned. I look out at the mountains, the same mountains crossed by my grandparents 120 years ago, emigrating to parts unknown, carrying with them nothing of value except hope. The same hope that brings me here today to find that part of myself I have always longed for, but could never name. Thank you for your kind listening.
Thank you very much, Louise. The perfect timing, incredible. Yeah, very, very good readings. Thank you very much. So Maria Cantalbiano is still having troubles, so I'll call him Marco Gatto, of course, because as you know, the book is bilingual, even though the sections in Italian are, not very many. But Marco will read in Italian. Marco?
Yes, thank you.
Ciao.
Hello, everybody. I'm really happy to see you again. My text is in Italian and the title is Massarillo. Massarillo is the nickname of my grandfather. He was from Albidona and spent his life in Switzerland, Argentina, and Albidona. And Massarillo means farm worker. And this text is dedicated to my grandfather. Al calore del focolare, con le mani in ossequio alla fiamma, fischiando un vecchio motivo popolare, mio nonno Pasquale rileggeva le lettere provenienti dall'Argentina. Sul fornellino una vecchia pentola cuoceva lo stufato serale. In alto penzolavano le crocette di fichi secchi che insieme alle noci non mancavano mai. La brocca di terracotta conteneva il vino rosso, il vino del popolo. Il postino non passava mai da tempo perché il vico San Pietro si raggiungeva a stento. Da bambino non riuscivo mai a trovare la strada giusta. Il paese era un labirinto di crocicchi impossibili, di usci malconci, di improbabili fiori solitari. Ancora oggi, nel ricordo, si fissa l'odore di qualche stalla all'aperto, sostituito più in là dal vociare delle televisioni. La lettera era giunta attraverso un tragitto diverso e sembrava contenere un messaggio importante. Non sopportava l'anonimato della spedizione postale. La sorella Maria non sapeva scrivere, forse soffriva nel doversi sempre affidare ad altri per comunicare i suoi sentimenti profondi. Figuriamoci nel consegnarli a un qualsiasi traghettatore, parole che avrebbero addirittura attraversato il mare per tornare a casa. La aiutava Pasquale, il nipote, anche lui in Argentina, per ventura. Un poeta mancato, suggerisce qualcuno, perché le sue lettere sono piene di immagini, di prati verdi, di alberi, di vigneti. Mio padre gli regalò in aeroporto Cristo si è fermato a Eboli. Nessun altro libro ci descrive meglio, chiosò Pasquale. La lingua registra tutta la durezza di chi vive tra due mondi. Buenos diventa buonos, nella speranza che forse vi si possa respirare l'aria fresca della campagna, il sapore forte del vino, la dolcezza cruda degli aranci. Le mani di mio nonno come rami, aggrovigliate davanti al piccolo camino che riscalda, in una comunicazione ideale con l'Argentina, con quel mondo che ha dato speranza a tanti altri, per puro caso, non a lui. In una lettera delle sue avrebbe sicuramente raccontato dell'incontro con gli americani, venuti qui a conoscere la storia dell'emigrazione, a toccare con mano commossa l'albero delle partenze e a guardare, in esse riconoscendosi, le povere foto di chi partiva, i poveri cenci di chi ancora oggi vive con l'antico nella mente. Avrebbe forse fischiato loro uno o due motivi, quelli che si intonavano nelle feste del raccolto, tra gioia e fatica, quando bastava un bicchiere di vino e una manciata di olive per rallegrarsi. Ma avrebbe detto anche loro che non sono solo la fatica e il sudore a fare la vita di un uomo e che non si può semplicemente vivere come l'amico asino. Avrebbe detto dell'importanza di stare bene insieme agli altri, di non subire, forse di ribellarsi. E avrebbe poi alzato il bicchiere di vino e intonato insieme a loro il canto dei contadini che hanno avuto la terra. Thank you.
Benissimo. Grazie Marco, grazie veramente, anche perfect timing, è molto bello. Ok, quindi adesso abbiamo Maria Giura. Maria Giura?
Ciao a tutti. Ciao.
Ciao, ciao. Ok.
Everyone, I'm going to read an excerpt of the excerpt that's in the anthology from my memoir Celibate, which was published by Apprentice House the same year, 2019, that we traveled to Calabria together. It is about my years-long entanglement with a Catholic priest and my struggle to figure out and accept my own calling. And in this scene, I have just turned 29 years old. A couple of weeks later, I finally told my father I was becoming a nun. As I waited for him to finish ringing up a customer's espresso and cannoli, my heart was beating in my ears. The last time I tried to tell him something important, I was 6. I was worried he'd think I wasn't getting married because of him, and that he wouldn't believe I had a calling or accept it. I knew how much he distrusted the church and its priests. "What is it?" he asked, coming out from around the counter, his thick eyebrows knitting tightly across the wide bridge of his nose. At 60, his hair was still jet black and forced, with fewer grays than most 40-year-olds. And he looked tanned, even though he never took the sun. The only sign of his age was his belly, which made him look 8 months pregnant. "I have good news for you, Baba, but you have a boyfriend?" 4 years since emigrating, and he still had his accent. "No, Baba, I have other good news," trying again. And before I changed my mind, I said quickly, "I'm going to become a nun." "Oh, Baba, why are you going to do this?" he said, lowering and shaking his head, addressing me the way I did him, a sign of endearment. "Oh, Baba, why?" "Because I just know. You know, I've gone out with guys and it's never been right with any of them." "Did someone hurt you? Did something happen?" I shook my head. "Are you in trouble?" "No," I said, keeping my eyes on him so he'd believe me. "Nobody hurt me. Father James and I were hurting each other. I was letting him." "Are you sure?" "I'm sure. You telling me the truth?" "Yes, I understand your questions, but no one hurt me. I actually met some nice guys along the way." "Maria, answer me. Is it because your mother and me, the divorce?" "No, you did the best you could then," I said, "because it's what I needed to believe, but also what I would eventually come to understand as true. My father had never healed from his childhood, from parents who expected him to be a man when he was still a baby. Never healed from watching his scared mother return his father's cruelty with adoration. At 18, my father carried his conflicted resentment of family, especially women, across the Atlantic. A year and a half later, in a Brooklyn pastry shop, he saw my beautiful, fair-haired 16-year-old mother who loved school and swept the floor with no faccia brutta. He was break your heart handsome, an Italian James Dean with washboard abs and a hot temper, but also an odd boyish charm that made my mother ignore the knot in her stomach, the way her mother had with her father, also a Nino, who was a good provider, but who, except for Sundays, expected their lives to be an endless round of chores and belittled their mother, "Be quiet, you don't know anything." "Because you know I respect your mother," my father said. "Of course I know that, Baba." What I knew was that now that he was beginning to age and have regrets, he respected her. Whenever he was in her neighborhood making a restaurant delivery, he brought her more bread and pastries than she could ever use or need. I think it was his way of saying, "I'm so sorry for all those years ago. You're a good woman. I loved you." What followed were a lot of questions, more than he'd ever asked me. I'd move in with the sisters for a year of candidacy, then to novitiate. I'd quit my job and give away my car. I'd work with the poor or the sick. And after I took my first vows and resumed working, the order would take care of me. I left out that my salary would be shared evenly with the order and that I'd get $100 a month. Money was how my father had always measured his work, so I couldn't help but think it's how he measured mine. I talked fast, afraid I'd lose his attention, but except for one brief interruption to show a well-dressed couple to the best table, he listened. It was the first time in my life. "If you were younger, I'd tell you no. I wouldn't let you," he said, wagging his finger. And then one last time he tried. "You never met the right one?" I looked out onto Cristoforo Colombo Boulevard, where a 30-something couple walked by hand in hand, the woman with dark brown hair like mine. My father was the last person I'd ever tell about Father James. He distrusted Catholicism and priests even more than he already did. He'd call James all kinds of names. He might even call me Butana. He definitely wouldn't believe I had a calling. No, Baba, I never met the right one, I said, shaking my head, dropping my eyes from his. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Maria. Beautiful excerpt, beautiful novel. And yes, Maria Cantalbiano, are you there? She's having trouble with the video, but she would like to try with the audio only. Maria?
No, I can't, not yet.
Not yet?
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
do you hear me? Do you
Yes,
hear me?
We can hear you, but we can't see you.
No, okay. But you
Can
can simply read without the video if you
Yeah.
want.
We're
Okay.
trying with my cell phone. Okay, there we go.
You too.
I had to change rooms. Oh God, my cell phone is not going to be that good, but we'll try.
But we're going to be
okay.
here for a little while if you need time. You know, we're only on G's.
Yeah, I had to condense this poem really a lot, so we'll try, and I think it fits within the 5 minutes. Thank you again to everybody for being here. Okay, my poem is called Il Nibbio, the language of the land. Fragrances in rain. In the vernal rains of Murano, my heart rejoices with returning from far away, from Canada, adoptive land, to the land of my first breath. Fresh mountain air, old fragrances, lemon blossoms or jasmine are stirring up childhood memories in the mind's jewelry box. Summer evenings running after fireflies that ran for cover behind walls of jasmine until crickets signaled time to return home. Show grandma the catch we both knew would change to coins by morning. 2, Nicola's dream. Centuries clash as modern luggage wheels screech on ancient cobblestones built for beasts of burden, now present only in photographs on museum walls. My umbrella is no match for this rain that drenches my abused suitcase, finally sheltered by whitewashed walls, hung with polished copper pots at the entrance of Il Nibbio Albergo Diffuso, a cluster of left for dead medieval houses, Nicola resuscitated with a dream to share the language of the land. He shepherds us up for refreshment on the Caffè Terrazza under the pouring rain. Don't worry, there's the canopy. Besides, it's only rain, he smiles, quick to reassure my doubtful gaze. And I begin to love this effervescent visionary who had inhaled the dust of decades to save the songs of those who left, those who crossed the Atlantic long ago. He saved their pots and pottery, their tools of trade. He saved their cloaks and clocks, their boots and barrows. Sì, un espresso, grazie, I venture in my native Italian, and I begin to love its music on my lips. Walls of rain surround the canopy. Sandro, one of our hosts, scurries, smiling and wet, steadying snacks and tiny cups on a tray. The rain impotent to douse this Calabrian welcome. 3, pastel pictures. Beyond the terrace, pastel valleys are cradled in the snow-tipped breasts of Dolce Dorme, reclining behind a veil of fog. Below us, terracotta rooftops undulate over houses born before Christ. They stand bold if hunched with history, built below one another, along twisting step streets. Behind me, a castle breathes down my neck. Ghosts of feudal lords and ladies peer through eye sockets of its skull. Its 2 remaining watchtowers still reigning over the pinnacle of Murano. Renovated past. With open umbrellas, we happily risk life down immemorial steps, stifled with rain pools to an old oak door. An ancient key unlocks La Casa del Vassallo, where dozens of colored clay jugs, some in pieces, fill wall-to-wall glass displays. This is the potter's house, my house for the next few days, where morning will light up a wood chair with straw seat like that at grandmother's. And I'll sit to write at the old desk, restored and polished, facing a window with a view on someone else's window, a string of an alley between them. And the clay jugs will insist on dictating their stories, insist I remember the usefulness of their emptiness, how they balanced on the heads of village women in long, coarse skirts woven from Ginestra. Il Nibbio, dozen houses telling dozen stories, each with a name, each a museum of what immigrants left behind, what they'd loved, what perhaps they missed on cold nights in foreign lands. In La Torretta del Poeta, low wood-beamed ceilings sigh above an old typewriter that sits defunct in a dim corner next to the glow of the guest's laptop. On a blue wall, a poem carved into the plaster, its lines white stretch marks from labor. Leaving home for home. Leaving is part of living, I suppose. In the rain, I turned that ancient key to lock the ancient door and walk away like they once did, only less sad. Luggage screeches once again up on forgiving steps. Poppy red geraniums on windowsills blush goodbye. Our car's open trunk awaits, like the gaping mouth of SS Saturnia in 1961. I turn for...
Yeah, sorry, the timing. I'm sorry. I'm very sorry, but...
It's the last stanza.
Okay, go.
I turn for the last glance, the castle stares back, the themed houses look forlorn, and I wonder if those in whose bed I'd slept were smiling that we'd sojourned in their renovated past, or do I feel their tears in Morano's raindrops on my face? Thank you. Sorry about all this trouble.
Thank you. No, I'm very sorry because, you know, I don't like
No, I understand. I understand.
Yeah. Okay. Geoffrey, next reader. Geoffrey. I don't see him.
He's just joining again. I think he probably.
Okay. Are you here? Otherwise, we skip in and go back. Should we move to the next
He's having
speaker?
trouble. Yeah, maybe go to the next
Okay.
person.
Okay, Iris. Iris.
Yes, I'm here. I'm ready.
Hi.
Hi. Nice to see you. It's so nice to see everyone. Such a great memory this whole thing was. So I'm going to read a few poems, and I've got my timer set for 5 minutes. So I'll start with the Poetry in Calabria, which is, I think, the one that really encapsulates the whole experience for me. Whoever would have thought that I'd be here on this cool mountaintop village in Calabria writing poems? I'm no poet. I don't recall ever having written one before, although somewhere back in the mists of childhood I must have done, whether for a school assignment or to relieve the pressure of adolescent angst. Yet here I am, among friends newly made, writers from all over the map. This is a voyage, a pilgrimage to the center. In this place, among these people, we bring forth our ghosts and expose our vulnerable underbellies. All here are willing companions, not strangers, although unknown just last week. We are a family of creative spirits, those willing to enter the cave, take risks, and go exploring in dark corners filled with bats. These are my people, my family of the heart, those who need to feel and create. Those others, seemingly content to live a creature life, to eat and drink, work, love, have children, but never seek to know the unknowable, to ask the unanswerable questions. These are the strangers, although to them, no doubt, we are the odd ones, sitting on our mountaintop in Morano Calabro, sharing our lost parents and brothers, lost childhoods and innocence, uncovering our scars and seeping wounds to find comfort in the sharing. Life lived wide open can let the pain in, but it also lets in all the colors. I am glad to be an artist in the company of artists and not out among the gray masses, safely armored behind tall stone walls. And then I would like to read another one. This was from one of the prompts that I found so amazing, how every time Maria would give us these prompts, a series of unrelated things, one would just leap out and there'd be a poem there. I don't know how that happened. It seemed like magic. So this was one that was just, the prompt was just a photograph. So this is a photograph of my father. I keep your picture beside my easel. I like to think you're watching me, interested to see what I am doing, full of curiosity and pride. You are so young, before the mantle of husband, father, teacher, and protector has fallen upon your shoulders. Clearly, you are living a romantic fantasy of your towny youth, posing nonchalantly in the doorway of your tiny log cabin, 6 guns strapped on lean hips, a .22 rifle by your side. Your fringed buckskin jacket now hangs quietly in the back of my closet, worn and stained now, many of the fringes fallen away somewhere down the long years. The buttons are made from pennies, laid on the railway track to be compressed and curved by the weight of the steam engine on its long voyage to the distant and mysterious nations of Ontario and Quebec. These buttons bite into fingers with edges worn thin by use. You are a towering figure in my childhood memory, powerful and brave. But now I see how tiny this jacket is, too small for me to button up, even though I am a small woman. Your dreams were all the fantasies of action, hunting, fishing, prospecting for gold in Canada's wild north, but your body always betrayed you, your crippled leg dragging, pulling you back as you struggle with your innocent ardor to run with your brothers as they surge ahead in the confidence and strength of clean-limbed bodies. But your soul leaps ahead and flashes past them all. The love of nature and art and music expands your small and broken form and fills all the hollows of my childhood with music and magic. Yeah, I think that's my time.
Thank you. Yes, perfect timing. Thank you very much. Very moving, reading, and also lovely to look at your paintings in the back.
Thank you.
Thank you. Geoffrey, are you back? Geoffrey, don't see him. Okay, let's go to Zach first. Zach Hauser. Zach?
Joffrey is back, but his video
I
is
think
not
he's
on.
back, but his
Yeah.
video is not working.
Hello.
back?
Hello.
Oh, he's speaking
Yeah,
now.
my hello.
Hello. Hello.
Hello, everyone.
Okay.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello.
Yes, we
Yes.
can hear you. We just can't see you.
Okay, my video unfortunately is not working. I don't know why it went off. So I don't know if I can still.
Of course
Can
you
I-
can. Of course you
Oh,
can.
okay.
Go ahead. Yes.
Okay. All right, then that is fine. Okay. All right. So I'm reading my poem about pizza. I mean, it's one special poem I wrote when I was in Italy. All right. So I begin. What it feels like to eat pizza, especially when it is your first time and you unbox it in the presence of an ecstatic gathering of friends. And it stares at you in the face, begging you to eat it in a hurry, or soon it will run cold. This pizza is the queen of all pizzas, and it goes by the name Queen Margherita. Before I take the first bite, like the first time I had sex with a plump, slim-faced Italian girl, I whet my appetite by rubbing my fingers over the white, enticing mozzarella. How seductive it feels to feel over your palm, with a topping of tomato spread over the surface, and the innocent basil leaves leaves you with a feeling enchanted. I sit between two Italian friends, Marco and Mario, and they guide me the best way to eat pizza. The first thing I learned was inscribed in my palm, how to use my hand to eat, by grabbing and tearing and biting till the end. I cannot remember the name of the wine I drank along with my pizza, but this is usual in moments of relish, when forgetfulness eats into your mind. I ate my first pizza at dinner in Murano, and the first bite tasted enormemente delicioso. Thank you, everyone.
You ended? You have more 2 minutes if you want.
Yes, I'm done. No, that's fine. I mean, I prepared for this, so.
Oh, thank you very much. Wonderful.
Yeah, I prepared for only this, so that's fine. Yeah, thank you so much.
Yes,
Yeah.
great,
Okay.
fantastic. Okay, thank you. I hope you'll get the video back before we end.
Thank you too.
Okay. Okay. And Zach?
Yeah, sure. Okay.
Yes.
I'm
it's your
here.
turn.
I'm here. This has been delightful. Thoughts on Old Murano. Walking in Old Murano, floating on a sea of time, on paths worn deep into soil and stone, on steps crooked with a passage of 10,000 souls. I hear echoes of cheering crowds in broken arenas, of actors and dictators in empty amphitheaters, of priests in abandoned churches and temples. I see gardeners in overgrown, weedy, empty plots. I see the cars, trucks, and planes as through a dark glass, here and yet transitory. I walk among the ghosts, the echoes of the past. Murano was such an amazing experience for someone who lives in a place in a city that's 140 years old to experience the age of Murano is amazing. Blue towels. Be careful, I was warned, of the Calabrese. Don't make eye contact. They won't talk to strangers, I was told. Instead, everyone I meet greets me, and most start brief conversations. Many doorsteps have a blue towel spread on them as if to say, welcome to my house. The sky may be cloudy, but there's a patch of blue on every doorstep. I forgot to set my timer. How am I doing?
Don't worry.
One more on Murano. Abandoned by the digital age youth, ancient twisting lanes sparsely populated by the slowly twisting aged. 1,000 years of stories fading away as homes become houses, become empty shells. The loud, brash youth are in the flat town below, busy with the transient concerns of the young. Will they move up the hill as they gain years and wisdom, or will old Murano crumble into dust? And from probably our last night together in a very noisy cafe in Cosenza, sitting in a cafe in Cosenza, drowning in Italian voices and the clatter of glass and china, half deaf, unable to understand those next to me. Of each unintelligible choice the waiter offers, I take the first. It's easier. I miss my young years. I want to flee the cacophony, hard plaster walls echoing every sound. It's like being inside a drum. I try to meditate my way to a rushing mountain brook, but shrill voices punch through like ice picks in my ears. Have some more wine. I still want to run. I need a quiet forest path. Now that this is written, I can't even read it. I left my reading glasses in the hotel. I miss my young eyes. Do I have another one?
You have 2 minutes left. It's
Oh,
up to you.
okay.
You have 4 minutes.
This one shook me when I wrote it, and it shook me when I read it in class, but Maria, you opened a door for me. So here it is, the poetry workshop. Maria, what are you doing to me? Under the Calabrian sun, I know who I am, secure in my knowledge of self, although perhaps a little loud in declaring it. I am without hidden depths. I harbor no deep, dark secrets from my youth. Maria, what are you doing to me? In the dark, doubt and anxiety fill the room like poison gas. A fragment from the day becomes a dream, but it sours into nightmare, and I wake sweating, heart pounding. Maria, what are you doing to me? Slowly, calm returns, and I sleep again, only to have another day fragment turn foul. I wake with nightmare's sticky fingers in my mind. Maria, what are you doing to me? I stand on thin glass over a pit of anonymous anxiety, waiting for the glass to break. Maria, what have you done to me?
Thank you very much, Zach. Thank you. Okay, now Linda. Linda.
Okay. First, it's fantastic to see everyone, and here's to seeing you in Italy soon. The first piece I'll read is, I'll be reading two, is called A Thing Apart. Does memory become blue like a robe, or blue like a broken plate? Does it flow into sky like sea into sea? Yesterday, I remembered a trip to Rome many years ago. I met up with my boyfriend there after his travels in Afghanistan. I didn't tell my parents I was going, and I never called them. I thought I could cast off my birth clothes and run towards an ancient world where I would be a thing apart, no longer born, but made, loyal, fearless, great of heart. Years later, when I could no longer bear to look at it, at the failure of my arms to hold, I gave away the scrolled silver cuff from Kabul, fit for a conqueror. I had borrowed a dress from a friend to wear to Italy. She'd brought it back from Israel. It was long and black and embroidered with marigolds and purple asters. And I look back now and believe the mourning I would do began when I put on that dress and flew off to Rome to see a young man to whom I still wish to apologize as I sit here 40 years later in Murano, Calabro, writing this down. The second poem is called Spirlonga, and the boyfriend in this poem is the same one as in the preceding poem. Spirlonga. I am writing for that ghost who has pulled me back to Spirlonga, town of 1,000 steps. It is morning and the piazza is quiet. It is my 24th birthday and I am sitting on a stoop reading. I have come to Italy alone and do not have a plan. There's that little girl pointing at the biggest cornetta on the tray, and there's Joan, the English woman, taking a table under the umbrella pines and calling me over. She is with her daughters, Victoria, who is 5, and Mary, who is 18. I don't tell them it's my birthday. Joan and I take a ride in her red Triumph, and in the tunnels, I feel as if I've led an army through darkness in another life. Though daily I believe I disappear from the minds of others when I leave their range of vision. A group of us is sitting around drinking coffee and smoking in the piazza. And out of nowhere, Victoria pulls up her dress to show us the oranges in her underpants. And when we laugh, she cries. And to this day, I don't know why. Maybe she wanted to decode the mystery of color, or wanted the added weight as a hedge against the unpredictable. Or was she pretending she had just given birth to these miraculous round children? I am standing in the whitewashed apartment of a couple from Rome. They are changing their infant on the bed, and for a stricken second, I know I will never have this. Lorca's poem, Song of the Barren Orange Tree, will one day set this moment in stone. Woodcutter, cut my shadow from me, free me from the torment of seeing myself without fruit. Every day, despite the turquoise sea, I leave the beach an hour before everyone else and trudge up those ancient steps alone to wash my hair and put on makeup for the evening, lest some unknown part of me be seen. When I go back to the States, I drive to my boyfriends whose letters I have ignored all summer, and I am once again forgiven. Eventually, he leaves me. I am with my husband when I run into him and his wife in a coffee shop. It is the day before we are going on our honeymoon to Puerto Vallarta, from which he and his wife have just returned. We make small talk, and all the things I want to say, I still carry. They give us tips on restaurants and beaches. His wife is petite and kind and says I look like my pictures, and a hatred for her, for my past, for the ghosts who yanked me through life like a pull toy, rises up in me, and later in the car turns to grief. And Lipo's lines come to me. Who in spring can bear to grieve alone? Who sober can look on sights like these?
Thank you so much. It was really beautiful reading. Thank you. I was very sorry for the noise.
Oh.
Interrupted you a minute. So I kindly asked Smita if she can mute all the
Oh,
participants.
that's what.
Yeah, because there was a problem.
Thank
Thank you so much, Linda. It was wonderful and wonderful reading. And now Maria Lizella. Maria?
Hi.
Maria.
Hi. Yeah,
Hi.
I'm here. It's wonderful to see everyone. Okay, so I wrote an essay, and I'm just gonna do pieces of it. Okay. Christ may have stopped at Eboli, but we stood on Levi's terrazzo in Aliano. We must tell stories to survive. Umberto Eco. When I first read Christ stopped at Eboli, I felt curiosity and sadness. Did my grandparents suffer as much as the people of Matera and Galliano before they immigrated to America? Was this the poverty that defined my heritage, my imagination, that would fortify my passion for social justice? Seeing Matera for the first time in 1998 was overwhelming. What place did it have in my history, or did it? Back then, you could have a cave of your own by moving the rock that guarded its entrance. Walking the edges of the trails to the caves was dangerous, but no one seemed concerned, no barriers, no signs. There was but one hotel in the middle of town. We ate at a trattoria called Il Nido di Aquila, the eagle's nest. And indeed, the eagles magically appeared above us, traveling in circles above the entrances to the caves that had housed 20,000 at one time. Maybe Matera was already on its way. By 1993, it would be designated as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Clearly, someone outside of Italy recognized its value. Levi had been among those advocating for the nomination, but he would be dead 30 years before Matera would be recognized. The second time I visited was in the winter of 2018. It was a new Matera, with streets lit with whimsical Christmas lights, a Dali elephant off the Piazza Vittorio, and shops, shops, and shops, with leather goods, young people owning the shops, young people staying in place. The largest hotels sleep just 31 guests, a small
Hi, Gay, it's Marlene.
of the numbers of visitors.
Thank you very much. That's very kind of you.
Oh, great. Somebody's not muted.
Oh, my.
Okay.
I can't mute her. But
Oh,
sorry.
who is it? How strange. Anyway.
Marlene, yeah.
Okay.
Shehan.
Ok, andiamo. When I spoke with some of them, they expressed the hope, the prosperity they were experiencing during Matera's reign as one of the European culture capitals would last beyond that year. That enchanting day in May 2019, new immigrants to Matera hawked rainbow-colored ponchos and umbrellas to visitors, both foreign and local, Italians finally taking notice of this gem. The spotlight on the city, once a scandalous tragedy during the Gasperi administration, was now a bit touristy, even in winter. A visit to Casa Noja is the imperative, as the documentaries reveal a little of the Matera the levies found in the 1930s. That scandal was not unlike the poverty Americans confronted in James Agee's photos of Appalachia and Tennessee. I could not help but think of the lifetimes of shame Italians carried with them to the new country, packed away with the rest of their belongings, the biancheria. Shame to speak their dialects, shame to cook their smelly foods, shame at being darker than an American should be. I think how all that shame incited even more anti-immigrant slander from Mustache Pete's to Gumbaz, to pasta-wielding mamas and mafiosi, and how much of it we internalized as we still work today through art and literature to shed the stigma of an anti-intellectualism and provinciality. The Italian diaspora group visited Levi's tombstone in the corner of the cemetery in Agliano. There, I recall the image of Levi looking at the summer sky, lying in an empty grave with Barone next to him, seeking refuge from the stultifying heat. Even under those circumstances, his sense of humor and his empathy carried him through the exile. Agliano or Galliano is perched higher than Matera. There I faced the clouds in the same place Levi stood on his beloved terrazzo countless times, painting or engaging the town's children to paint alongside him. Christ Stopped at Eboli is considered one of the major literary works of the 20th century, and once translated into English in 1950 became an instant bestseller. So it was shocking that there was not a single copy of it for purchase in Agliano. But like our own ancestors who left their homes and found themselves in exile in America, Levi discovered answers to questions so many immigrant families had to travel to America to find. He left us with a gift that Agliano has so far in some way been unable to embrace. It is complex. So much has to do not only with culture pride, but the concrete obstacles to economic development in the South. The only thing more compelling about Carlo Levi and Christ Stopped at Eboli are the stories of friendship, romance, and ideals behind his drawings, and many remain in Agliano and Matera. Basilicata and indeed Calabria, as well as other southern regions, are standing at attention in many realms. Matera, Basilicata, reigned as European culture capital. Lydia Bastianich has turned her wily gastronomic gaze to the south and produced a primer on the foods and wines of Calabria. Sicily and Puglia are on every bucket list now, and Naples has always had its bad boy appeal. Umberto Eco once said, "To survive, you must tell stories." As the world rediscovers Levi and his work, I am betting the descendants of Agliano will also take notice of the outsiders revisiting this enchanted and forgotten town and put their own spin on their stories. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And I don't understand why there is this noise here, because I see the microphones are muted, but okay. I'm sorry for the interruption for you,
Okay.
Maria. Okay. So, okay, let's go now to Janet. Is Janet Michello here? Because I cannot see her in the list.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, welcome.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead. Start.
Okay. This is an essay about Agliano, the birthplace of my maternal grandmother. After reading the book and viewing the movie, When Christ Stopped at Eboli, I remember admiring all the work Carlo Levi did to save Agliano from losing more of its population. This was a difficult time for him since he was exiled to southern Italy because of his anti-fascist views. The numerous deaths in the region were illustrated in the movie by the purple and black cloth draped over the entranceway of many homes. Both the book and the movie reflect the extreme poverty and despair of Agliano residents. I first became aware of Levi's book about 15 years ago after finding relatives in Agliano and visiting them. This was when a museum dedicated to Carlo Levi was in the early stages of development. I still recall the pride in Domenica's voice, a cousin I was visiting, when telling me how loved he was by the people of this small village. Levi loved them too, so much that he requested that he be buried there upon his death. I found it interesting that one of the things we did during my first visit to Aliano was visiting Levi's grave. The same thing occurred when our writing group toured Aliano after initially walking to the local cemetery. This time, Levi's grave was covered with an assortment of items, mainly flowers and pencils, left behind by admirers. Levi was a prolific writer and painter, in addition to undergoing training and having experience in medicine and politics. I believe going first to Carlo Levi's grave on both occasions demonstrates a strong connection he had with the residents of Aliano. It's as if memory of him is embedded in the psyche of all residents of Aliano. Today, this mountainous village is quite different from Aliano of the earlier part of the 20th century. Now there are restaurants, stores, modern housing, and transportation, nothing like its historic past. Yet admiration and remembrance of Carlo Levi remains. It was most enjoyable visiting cousin Cecina, Domenica's sister, who manages a restaurant in Aliano. Her smiling face and jovial manner was a reminder of the warmth and hospitality displayed in contemporary Southern Italian villages, unlike the gloomy darkness of the past. I wanted to see the house where my paternal grandmother lived, like I did during my first visit to Aliano 15 years ago, but I couldn't remember its location. I only recalled a small green door that stood out among a series of petite attached houses. We were in Aliano for such a short time, but I relished every second of being there. To me, it was like coming home. My grandmother, long gone, would be happy knowing that I saw the place of her birth and my paternal ancestors once again. I will return soon.
Thank you very much, Janet. This story is really makes me shake. I know, of course I know the piece, but it's fantastic. Okay, Francine.
Hello.
Hi. Okay.
So I'm going to read just one poem. And I chose this one because in rereading it sort of recalls the sense of presence and joy and camaraderie and friendship I felt when we were all in Calabria. Morning in Murano, Calabro. Albergo via San Domenico, May 2019. The stone walls shine after last night's downpour. The rhythm of the rain thumped the clay shingles like a heartbeat. I slept well and late. From my guest room, the maze of red rooftops reaches from top to bottom of this ancient hamlet perched on the side of a hill. A gray mist circles the mountains at the halfway point. The sun hangs behind them. I can hear the naughty boy laugh of a magpie gliding by in black silhouette. I unlatch the heavy oak door and step barefoot onto the wet tiled veranda. A gray cat called Lupo eyes me, flicks his tail, and saunters off. Tonino has stoked the hearth. I can smell the sweet wood smoke. Tanya is setting out breakfast. I can hear the clink of china. Espresso, warm bread, and thick cherry jam await me in the dining room. I am hungry and running late, but nothing moves in haste here. I take a seat at the long table with other guests. They take time to welcome me, laugh, and listen. No one leaves the table until everyone is finished. I walk back across the terrace. The curtain of fog parts just enough to reveal the golden ginestra blooming in the hills below. From the depths of me, a question rises up. Girl, What did you do to deserve this?
Sorry, my audio was off. Okay, thank you so much. You have 2 more minutes, but if you're done, you're done. That was fantastic. Thank you very much. Okay, now Dina. Dina.
Okay,
Okay, you're here. Okay. Go ahead.
okay, I have a happy one. This is the trip we made right after Matera to the cave. So I say it's first impressions and reflections on a Rupestrian church, written during our bus ride from La Cripta del Peccato Originale back to Murano Calabro on Sunday, May 26th. Cave blessings. That concept of original sin, the theology of the fall, I don't believe in them, no. But now, on the heels of our group's visit to the crypt of the original sin, what I do believe in is the holiness of this little chapel hidden in the rock. Imagine, as far back as the 8th century, monks came to southern Italy from Asia Minor and Eastern Europe. Monks who emigrated out of the world and immigrated into the silence and solitude of cave dwelling. In their death to the world, they found life in eremitic existence, right down here in this ravine. The church cave, a place much prayed in, and therefore a holy place. Sanctified, made holy by the long presence of the local faithful, by visits of pilgrims, and now even by the arrival of awed tourists. Oh God, bless the artist-creator who painted the biblical images on the walls, and all who sat on the stone floor and gazed at the frescoes and prayed. Give your blessing to those who came here seeking your closer, deeper presence. Bless dear Margarita Ganeri, who thought to bring us here, and our driver who managed to get us here to a remote place in the middle of nowhere. Watch over the guide who showed us the way to the church tucked into the earth. Bless the monks who sang and recorded exquisite Gregorian chants for us to hear and absorb as we sat here in semi-darkness. Bless the conservators and restorers who toiled patiently underground to bring back the pigment's full beauty. Bless all who over the centuries once lit oil lamps or candles in smoke-blackened niches, and whose souls departed, whose souls went on, departed, perhaps to a heavenly diaspora above. Please bless future visitors who will come and discover this faraway rock chapel, and in it somehow rediscover you, our Rock of Ages. We bless and thank you, God of many blessings. Okay.
Thank you so much.
You want a little one, or am I out of time?
You have another minute, so go ahead.
This is just a funny one I did just for fun when I was already in Israel in the desert, and I saw a picture of the beautiful Isola de Dino. So I wrote, first time Dina sees these seas. Margarita Maria Cani et al. Taught us things literary and literal. But oh, what fun, our trip to the littoral. Isola de Dino, so near yet so far, eh? Such pulsing waves on our beach. Praia Amare. Littoral Calabria, so lovely in May. Turquoise Tyrrhenian Sea, Mar Tirreno. and Ionian Sea too, Mar Ionio. I'll return, now that I love you so.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dina. Wonderful. Yes. Okay, now Kim.
Hey, thank you. So this is an excerpt from the piece I wrote for the book called Findings. I am one of the few people with no Italian roots at this heritage and memory seminar in Calabria. Calabria, a region of Italy that I'd never heard of until this trip, but I know very little about Italian geography, so that's not saying much. What I know is this is a chance to see Maria Mazziotti Gillen, director of my creative writing program and poet who regularly moves audiences to tears with her knife to the heart poetry. Maria, nurturing, bossy, plain-spoken mother to us all, someone who believed in me when I barely believed in myself. Maria, whose poems reveal the conflicted layers that make up the human experience. Maria, whose nose for truth pushes past the excuses you put in front of her and demands you write it down. That Maria. What I know is this is a chance to join a writing community. What I know is I've spent my life longing to set foot in Italy, the place I dreamt about since I learned to love first Greek and then Roman myths. The place where so many people I admired whose lives seemed full of love and pizzelles and provolone and eggplant caponata and homemade pasta came from. Food that seemed so magical in a world of tuna casseroles and meatloaf. The place where the women seemed to have an effortless ability to dress in bright colors and gold had come from. That effortless was a myth too, almost as big as the gods themselves, and I knew that. But still, I hoped some of it might rub off on me, and my family might be transformed into a tight-knit bunch who laid it all on the table, fought, and then hugged it out. And I might become one of those women who strode along cobblestone streets, wearing thick eyeliner, red lipstick, and all of her jewelry, rather than the mousy-haired girl from Maine I couldn't quite shake, no matter how many shades of red lipstick I tried. Those tubes rattling around my makeup drawer, used once and then tucked away when I couldn't quiet the voice that said I looked ridiculous. What I know is I'm looking for something. What I find is community, my people. Maria G and I quickly bond because we're the two who joined the group in week 2. Plus we have our shared love for Maria Mazziotti Gillen, mentor to us both. Francine, despite not really being a cat person, makes the offer to help what we thought was a suffering animal. Eloise's bright-eyed kindness and curiosity about the world has her seeking stories from everyone. Dina, quiet Dina, says little, listens a lot, and has the kind of voice you have to crane your neck to hear, but is so witty that I feel bad for the people who talk too loudly to hear her. Manuel seems to spend the entire week cheerfully chauffeuring us around in his own car. Ah, you want panini instead of dinner, he says to Maria and me one night. No problem, jump in the car. And there's Maria Mazziotti Gillen, who patiently reads everyone's work, even when she should be resting, as Mariana tries to remind her. Soon, honey, Maria says in response to Mariana's gentle scolding. I just want to read a couple more things. I promise. And everywhere there are stories. What I find is courage. I listen to the stories of journeys and losses and secrets, stories of joy and discovery. And like everyone, I bring my manuscript to Maria, tell her about how I need to do something with it. I need to, but I'm afraid to because I think it's not good. Read me something, she demands, and after, read me something else. It's wonderful, she says, and tells me why she thinks so. But you've got to send it out. Don't worry about what you think isn't good or nobody wants to hear. Send it out. But it's not ready, I protest. Honey, she says, just send the fucking thing out. The final night at the farm before we move to Cosenza is a reading. Anyone who wants to can read. Are you going to read something? Maria Jura asked me. No, I say, I don't think I have anything to read. But later, as I sit in the rows of chairs in the library, I surprise myself by raising my hand in response to the question, who wants to read tonight? And when it's my turn, I get out my phone and find that story of my sexual assault at the hands of my friend's grandfather when I was 7. That story that was cut from my dissertation and never read by anyone but my husband. And I step to the front of the room and read it out loud. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Wonderful, really beautiful. Now we go up to Debbie is the last. Debbie is the last reader. Now, at the end of your reading, this is an idea by Maria Jura. Why don't we all switch our video on and do a picture of the group? We can do it also at the end after Maria talk, but it's up to you. Debbie.
Thank you,
Go ahead.
Margarita. Thank you. My first reading, this was a prompt by Maria. One of those, as Iris spoke of, that you hear something and something comes from it. And this was called Claiming My True Name. I see the faded nameplate on the door of our house declaring the name Frank Moloch, my great-grandfather that I never knew, my great-grandfather who had a barbershop in the house. He and my great-grandmother came to this little town of Grapeville all the way from Italy. But Moloch doesn't sound Italian. I know Italian-sounding names because I went to the big Italian Catholic church in Jeanette. Persichetti, Delilah, D'Annunzio, Mascentonio, Zanarini. Those are Italian-sounding names. As a teenager, I was told the original name was Malika. Okay, that sounds more Italian. Then I was told about other family living near Pittsburgh, and they are all Malika, my great-grandfather's siblings' descendants. I found documents that show my great-grandfather's name was Francesco Malika from San Ilario. Now this young girl believes she may be Italian. At the age of 55, I finally traveled to Calabria for the first time. I flew to Lamezia Terme and took a van to Amantea. I walked around the town and felt this calm come over me. I explored the shops and the market. I climbed the hills that reminded me of home. I walked on the pebbly beach. I said out loud, this feels so comfortable. This feels like home. How strange. I've traveled to so many countries and never felt that way. Now I am in Calabria again. Beautiful Calabria, you tug at my heart and call me back. One day I will travel to San Ilaria. I will meet the family that stayed behind. I will be home. I will be a Malika. My second reading is a few of us had the opportunity to stay at a small agriturismo during the second week. And I wrote this about that experience. And I called it, I Miss the Farm Already. I awaken, and the only sounds are the birds who sing cheerfully in the trees. There is a slight breeze, the air is fresh, and the room glows with the morning light. Friendly white dogs greet me and beg for belly rubs as I walk past. The aroma of coffee and pancakes leads me to the big country kitchen where breakfast awaits. There is a bounty of fresh foods laid out on the table. The ripe red strawberry bursts with flavor when I bite into it. The friendly chatter around the table is familiar and comfortable. This place where the view stretches across orchards to the Ionian Sea, where generations have worked in the fields.
Cosa c'è che mangiano qua? È vero?
Alas, today I depart from Cielo Greco. There are hugs and kisses from Teo and Rosanna. We promise to return someday. I am teary-eyed as we get in the van for our final departure from Cielo Greco. As we drive away, we round the big house and say, Teo, Rosanna, and Maria waving hands and dish towels until we are out of sight. I miss the farm already. That's the end of it, Margarita. Thank you for allowing me to read.
Thank you so much. I'm so sorry about the interruption again. Somebody had the microphone on mute, and I know who it was this time. Okay, anyway. Okay, so now we have the second and last speaker, and then the final remarks by Maria Gillen. But before calling in Elisabetta, would you mind to go on the video all together so we do a nice picture, and then we will do another one at the end. I'm saying this because I see that some people are disconnecting. Okay, I don't see anybody on video though.
Davina.
Put your video on.
Yeah, Davina.
Yeah.
Davina.
Yes, yes.
Put your
I'm trying to
video
figure out how to do this.
Okay. Yeah. Anyway, you know, let's figure out in the meantime, and then we go up to Elisabetta and we do a screenshot, a photo screen at the end, okay? Otherwise we lose too much time now. So Elisabetta Marino.
Here I am. So
Yeah.
I'm so
nice
happy to be here with you. Nice to see you and see you again. And I must tell you, I'm really overwhelmed because one thing is reading the poems, and quite a different story is listening to the real voices of the people who actually wrote the lines. So I really feel empowered by your voices in actual fact. So, and I want to just to tell you a little thing that since the last time I spoke about this book, I have given the book as a present to two different people, and they both absolutely adored it, and they bonded with the writers, and they wrote the most beautiful remarks to me by text messages. And so really, I want to thank you for putting this together. So thank you, Maria, and thank you, Margarita. You have been fantastic, not just for the people who attended the seminar, but for all those who have been somehow touched by your book. So this is a gift you're giving to the extended community, including all of us. Now, as I have already mentioned other times, talking about this book, the image of Calabria is the image of a giant mirror, a mirror that eventually reflects the person that looks into it as a whole, as he or she really is, his present or her present together with his or her past, which are often coexisting. And Calabria becomes some kind of cradle, a new cradle, a womb, a welcoming womb that is characterized by its beauty, by its antiquity, and it's surrounded by water that is reminiscent of amniotic fluid. And each person has the possibility to be born again. So Calabria turns into a symbolic origin for everybody. And in addition to that, what I really admired in this book is the ability to construct, to build an imaginary community beyond borders. I have already mentioned that the other time, but this is really what strikes me the most about the book. The ability to build connections, the voices that resonate into one another, the stories that are interlaced, individual stories, communal stories, and connections that are discovered, often unexpected connections. And by reading this book, I also connected what I read with my own past, because when I was a child, I used to spend my summers in Calabria. My father was actually from Sicily, but my uncle lived in Calabria, so we used to go there every summer. And somehow in my imagination, I visited again those places, the places of my memories, the places of my childhood. And this has been a real treat for me, especially in this time of pandemic, when social distancing is actually preventing us from traveling and from visiting places. So thank you again. And I would like to end my very short presentation of this book by reading one of the poems by Maria, because you have read your poems, but if you don't mind, Maria, I would like to read one of yours. And this is a particularly moving poem to me, connected to a place, but also to an imaginary place. It's entitled Morano, Calabria, Italy. Today, I see you as though you were still with me and not dead already for 9 years. I imagine us here on this trip together to Morano, Calabria, where we can watch the long feathers of mist sweeping the mountains and see the castle set at the summit, and huge roses blooming in midsummer profusion, though it's only May. I see you with your large gray eyes, your high cheekbones, your full lips and mouth. Imagine we are still together, as we were all those times in Italy, France, Portugal, Spain, and Canada, those times camping in Colorado and Maine. You were always the one I counted on to carry heavy loads, buckets of water and firewood, the one who could walk miles without flagging while you left me on a bench to wait for you, even when I was still 104 pounds. You were the one who swam 40 leaps every day, all summer in the town pool. When you tried to teach me how to swim, I was so fearful I nearly drowned you. Never again, you said, never again. 46 years we were together, so many memories, so many hours. I imagine I can still feel the contours of your face under my hands. How oblivious we were to what could happen to us. You were a young athlete until one day you weren't. And you got weaker and weaker. Your life narrowed until you could barely move. But mine opened up wider and wider, so many times when I left you behind. To go read in other countries, other states, to teach at Binghamton. My shame today is knowing how much I needed those times away from you, so I could go on holding you up. Sad that now I imagine you are with me. Imagine that I could turn to you, say, "Oh, Dennis, look at how beautiful it is here. Come with me." Though I know nothing will bring you back to me. Nothing can change the way our bodies betrayed us. Take my hand, I want to say, but now it is you who have left me behind. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much for this wonderful reading, but I will leave it to Maria, so hopefully she will read something else. Maria.
I love you, Elizabeth. That really made me cry. I had forgotten about that poem. So sometimes your own poems come up behind you and hit you on the head. I'm going to read a couple of poems, and then I will, once I've read the poems, and I'll just say a couple of things about the group and how wonderful it was to be with you all and to listen to all of you read and to hear how great the poems are that you wrote and the essays that you wrote. It's just such a pleasure for me. This is called Celebration in Albidona. Last night, we drove to Albidona, where the mayor greeted me and walked with me to the town library. She is the first female mayor of the town, which is at least 5 centuries old. They have planned a ceremony of welcome, but when I'm confronted by the stairs to the library, I say I'll stay in my wheelchair and wait for them to come back. I know I have disappointed them, but since I can't walk at the moment, I don't see how I'm going to climb those stairs, though I'd like to please them. Instead, I wait for them in the lane, and the mayor presents me with a plaque, and I feel tears press against the backs of my eyes. I am counted, put it back to my childhood, to summer ceremonies at Sordita Celentano, all the people who were part of my life when I was growing up. Now the mayor walks next to me while Marco Gatto pushes my chair to the town square where an old man plays on a bottle using a big iron key, keeping time to the sound of a tambourine and the bagpipe made from goat skin. Nearby, someone plays an accordion beautifully crafted from leather and mother of pearl. In itself, it is a work of art. The Albanese people tell me that Albidona means golden sunrise. For me, in this moment, the town fulfills the promise of its name. The women of the town have made platters of food, zeppoli, made in circles like elongated donuts, but they have another name for them. The platter of another delicacy that are exactly like my mother used to make, except that she put honey and sprinkles on them. Then they cart out platters of cabagola, salami, olives. Marco's mother apologizes for smelling like oil because she's been frying all day. I'd beg and kiss her hand. If I weren't afraid, she'd think I was insane. She reminds me of my mother as though she has brought her back to me, and I think about her and smile. I love every minute in this town with its costume dancers and its little band and its generosity and hospitality. I realize how much of Italy my mother brought with her to Paris, Patterson, how familiar the Calabria town is. These people are my people, but I have never seen them before. And I'm going to read one more poem. And no, I think I'll read this one. In the photograph, I am 16. In the photograph, I am 16 and dressed for a high school prom. My dress is light blue, a color I chose because I wanted to be blonde and not be with my olive tone skin and dark frizzy hair. I am thin and high-breasted. The dress is fitted carefully after my body and slender waist, and then swirls out to a bottom that is lifted by 2 crinolines. It's the 1950s. These are the kinds of clothes all the girls are wearing. I have on high heels and nylons, held it up by a garter belt. I was shy and uncomfortable. I barely spoke outside the house. All at home with my Italian family, I was exuberant, words tumbling out over themselves as I spoke. It was only in poetry that I found a way to live in America. In poetry that I could express all the dreams that filled me with longing. In my poems, I could be the strong, independent person I imagined myself to be at some future time, not then when I was delicate and as easily as broken as a butterfly's wings. I am 16, my life ahead of me. The long road I have yet to climb is just as shrouded in mystery as these Calabrian mountains where I sit writing this poem today. So many years have passed since that photograph in the dress that was pale blue. It took me years to realize it was covering the right bred spirit inside of me. And I just want to say to all of you how wonderful the experience was for me and how wonderful this day is for me to hear your poems. I've read the book 1,000 times, and I heard you read the poems and essays when we were in Calabria, but hearing them now brings back that magical time and that magical place. I remember coming around that mountain corner in Murano and seeing the Albergo San Domenico and just feeling like the whole world had, my mother had come back to me, my childhood had come back to me, and I was so blessed to be in this place that was so incredibly beautiful. And the people were so beautiful. So I will never forget it. I hope I come back. And I'm really dying to come back to Italy. So I'm hoping that I'll be back in Italy again soon. And I hope to see you all again. But I want to congratulate all of you for the wonderful work you did and the way you became braver and braver as you wrote. I love that many of you brought me to tears while we were reading, and that many of you brought me to tears while we were in the workshop and I could hear you. I want to thank Elisabetta and Carla for their presentations as well. It's so wonderful to hear people who love writing and love Italy as much as I do, and love in particular Southern Italy, which for me is really the roots of my life. So Margherita, thank you so much for everything you did. If you want to say some closing words, please do.
Just basically, I would like to say I'm very, I thank you everybody for, these wonderful readings, and before for the writing. As I said, the book completed the experience of the seminar. The seminar was very important, but the book was a step ahead, in my point of view. And, a book is a book, and this book is a photographic book, as Carla was saying at the beginning, where lots of different aspects and then experience got gathered together. And the fact that we are united today, these readings, for me, this is just an expression of a continuity. Okay, now we are waiting now to restart again our seminars when it will be possible. But I feel that even though we had the pandemic, in the meantime, there is a thread that was kept alive. It keeps going. And this is created, it's done by the writings, of course, the writings and the book. It is not only simply important to go in a place, to be actually in that place, but also to narrate the place, to write about the place. So I had this sensation of a continuity, and we're just going to go toward the next step. So I thank you all together. I think we are a community. It's an open community, of course, open to other people, open to new experiences, of course. But I think we created a place, and I'm really thankful to what Carla and Elisabetta said about the book and the idea of this. I put some notes of Calabria as a symbolic place. Well, I don't feel like that, but because for me it's not a symbolic place, of course, but it's so beautiful to have this kind of feedbacks. And so stimulating also from other readers. We have so many different point of views, and the richness of what we did on the writing, or on this reflection that we had in the back on diaspora, is exactly, the richness comes exactly from this very open, this large variety of different point of views. So I'm grateful, I'm very happy. And I hope we'll have other occasions like this in the future. And I hope to be in touch with all of you, and eventually to be together with you in a new program. But if we have 10 minutes, the time is ended, Maria. I see other people that are connected, like Rosanna Batticelli, Sampati. Maybe they would like also to say a few words at the side of the event. I mean, we're going to disconnect soon. So Rosanna, do you want to? Thank you so much for coming. I don't know if everybody, not anybody, sorry, knows Rosanna. She is a writer originally from Calabria. She wrote a very, very beautiful, interesting novel on La Brigantessa. with an Italian title that is attached to Calabria. So thank you for being with us today, Rossana, and if you want to say a few words.
Yes, thank you so much, Margherita. It's such a pleasure to be with everybody today. I mean, Calabria is so close to my heart. I was born there. I was inspired to write a book about Calabria in the post-unification era. And I continue to have this love and nostalgia for my little hometown and for all of Calabria. So it was a pleasure to listen to all the poetry and the excerpts today. I congratulate you all, and I wish I could have been with all of you in that first group, and hopefully maybe next time. But I do, what this has done is really made me just filled with emotion for everything that Calabria means to me and to obviously all of you. So thank you so much.
Thank you to you. Thank you very much, Rossana. And I don't know, Sam, would you like to say? Sam, I see Sam.
Yes, what I can say is that I found the writing and the reading very compelling, and it's just, you know, kind of wonderful to see people who really discovered their roots. And I think in many ways it bodes for a good future for Italian American studies, or we should say diaspora studies. And I think that we need to do as much as we can to have people examine their genealogy, the possibility of heritage travel. And one of the other things that's been so interesting through this pandemic and the use of Zoom and other, formats is the idea that we could really build a virtual community. And I think by building the virtual community, maybe we can go backwards and have people, in fact, examine their genealogy and take a trip to Italy and collect their thoughts and encourage people to read about all the literature that's out there about diaspora studies. That's it. And I'll talk to you tomorrow morning.
Yes, Sam, thanks. Is anybody else who's here but was not on the readers list, like Marina, Mara De Chiara, or anybody would like to say something just before we go on? We go away.
Margarita.
Oh, hi.
Hi. So I just wanted to say how much I enjoyed everyone. It was wonderful to see everybody on. These poems are just wonderful to hear. And I just wanted to say this morning, when I was walking to the farmer's market, I thought about Maria, and I thought, you know, Maria really showed me, I never thought you could teach writing. I thought that was a myth. I mean, I thought you would, you could teach grammar and you could teach sentence structure and good, strong, the strunk and white stuff. I had no idea that you could do what Maria did. And it still strikes me. What a miracle it was. And the whole thing really, it really reawakened my interest in poetry. So thank you so much. And thank you to the whole group for being so open. Yeah.
That's so nice to hear.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Would it be okay if I posted information about an Iowa reading coming up that everyone can read at if they would like to?
Sure.
Okay. There we go.
Anita, we're gonna take that picture?
Yeah, I don't quite know how to do that. Do you people know how to do it?
I've taken a number of screenshots already, so I'll send them to you, but
there we go.
I'll take more.
Is there anybody else? I think Lillian raised her hands. Would you like to say something, Lillian?
So happy that I joined all of you today. My spirit just sort of, you brought it right back to Calabria, where I was born and came at the age of 10 from Sant'Onofrio, really close to Pizzo Calabro. We were there a few years ago, and I did write a lot of poems about that too. So I hear your passion, and you sort of brought out that passion in me to just go on and continue writing about our beautiful Calabria. So thank you so much. You did a wonderful job at
Where
really-
do you live now? In Canada or United States?
We
Where?
are, I live in Toronto, north of Toronto, a place called Woodbridge. And
Yes.
we have a writers club here. And we hope that maybe we can write a book about Calabria together. Maybe I will contact someone and we can do that too here. You have inspired me as a writer. I have written books, and but I have a feeling now that I want to put a book together about Calabria.
Email me, because we have a book series with
Pardon?
religion, so you can email me if you want for our series.
I will definitely, and I would love to talk with you. Thank you so much. You have been an inspiration. You're all such brilliant writers, and the way you produce you bring out your poetry. You paint a picture with those words. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much to everybody. Maria, I leave it to you. The ending.
All right, Margarita, I just want to say, am I unmuted because I'm confused? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you, Maria.
Hear me? All right. I want to say that really none of this would have been possible without Margarita, who put together this whole
Yes.
program. I put together programs myself, so I know how hard it is to do. And when you're doing programs that are really international and require a lot of pre-planning and packaging of the program, Margarita did an exquisite job on it. And I also want to thank Margot and Mario and, oh gosh, I just forgot his name, Manuela, for all the work they did, particularly pushing my wheelchair around for me. But they did a huge amount of other work as well. So I think that people don't realize how much goes into this. I think this book is an exquisite way, because of the photographs, because the writing is so specific, so narrative, so clear. It invites people in, and I hope it raises interest in people in going to Calabria and going to other parts of Italy, but in particular going to Calabria and looking at the place, which is truly a magical place, I think. So I hope the book invites you to do that. I want to just clap for Margarita and all the work she did and all the people who helped her. And I want to clap for all of you and the writing, the wonderful writing. I heard a voice.
I'm clapping the hands for you, Maria. You were the really, the heart of the program, the inspiring figure of the program. So, Maria, thank you.
Thank you. I think that goes for you as well. So, but I enjoyed it. It was wonderful. I wish I could be there again. Don't you? After looking at the pictures, I was looking at the pictures and I'm thinking, oh my God, that food was so exquisite. And everything we had, just looking at the water, it was just absolutely amazing. And I loved it. And I thank you, Margarita, for including me in the program, and all you people for writing such wonderful work, which makes me cry and makes me feel so connected to you all.
So thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ciao a tutti, arrivederci. Grazie Carla.